Today I'll show you a mystery, thriller and an action film called Jack Reacher. The movie starts with a van traveling on a road on a hill. There is someone who is making bullets manually. As it can be seen that the person is making it with care. In the alternative scene we see that someone wearing gloves is driving the car. The van stops in a building at a parking spot paying for the parking ticket and goes to the balcony carrying a gun. His face is revealed. He stands up and starts to look at the people through his scope. He sees everyone and observes everything good. He suddenly starts killing. First comes the bench guy and he kills 4 more people after that. He doesn't feel any guilt and leaves with no expression as if he is trained to do it. The sniper leaves in a hurry as police cover up the area. They release SWAT teams in the building hoping to find the killer who did this, but he already left not to their surprise. The investigator searches for the evidence and he luckily has the shell of one of the bullets fired. Parking ticket coins can also be seen which leads them to the coin used for it. In the next scene we can see at the forensics lab, the print of the coin is being extracted. James Barr is the suspect from the print of the coin, but the person who was actually killed wasn't James as we saw earlier. James Barr is being arrested in the next scene. Everything leads to James Barr. He obviously is arrested and the investigator investigates him and he only writes to find the Jack Reacher. They try to find the Jack Reacher and we come to know that he has literally no trail at all. It's like a ghost chase. No one ever finds him, but the only way to find him is when he wants himself to be found. Jack Reacher is famous for being a ghost and for some other notorious reasons as well. He has served in the military with an impeccable record for his service. Jack Reacher is currently in America, but still no trace of him yet. He comes to the office of the investigator. They go to the hospital where James Barr was admitted. The investigators explain that he was beaten up very badly by the fellow prisoners who were also being taken to the jail. They talk about James Barr. In the next scene we see the attorney of James Barr, Helen Rowden. She is also the district attorney's daughter. In the next scene we see a man taking up some of the cash and going to some place. Jack and Helen can be seen in a restaurant. James is convinced that this crime was committed by James Barr. As for the lawyer, she is trying to keep him off of the death row. He turns off the recording and tells Helen that he served in the army and he was a maniac and just liked to kill. He made a sniper for himself and practiced 2,000 shots in a week. He kept on practicing for 2 years, but he was never ordered to shoot on a person's skull. He was on the overwatch for days in which he kept on looking at his scope, hoping to get an order to shoot. At the end of the 2-year camp he knew he was giving up hope, as even after the restless training, he did not get a chance to shoot a single person. That day he killed 4 armed people. He did not know they were criminal at first, but later he was released as the targets actually turned out to be a part of a rape rally. She hears the things about James, but she still wants to ensure that he faces a fair trial. He killed those 4 armed men and he confessed, but this time he asked for the Jack Reacher, and this was the only reason Jack came. She offers him to look at the evidence as she had a lead investigator on the case. At first he leaves but stops right in front of her car. He tells Helen to look at the victims objectively as it will help her. In the next scene we see Helen speaking to a man whose daughter was killed by the sniper. Jack looks at the evidence book and he is also being followed. She comes into the house and speaks with the father. He hands her a file which has everything she needs to know, but there is a gun right beneath it. Helen gets very scared and tries to leave, but is not allowed by the host. Jack goes to the building from where the shots were fired and imagines projection of James. He afterwards goes to the bridge and investigates things there as well. He is still being followed. The host tells Helen that James deserves to die and Helen makes her escape running away. She sits in her car and when she is about to leave, her dad comes there. He tells her that it is not safe for her to come to the place alone and she also shouldn't have taken the case. Nobody in the city wanted to have that case. In the next scene we see Jack is in the evidence office and he doesn't take any notes. Leaving the evidence room he goes into a bar where he is sitting thinking about the case and a girl comes to him giving him hints. He doesn't show interest in her hints but humiliates her. She gets angry and brings her brothers. They go out as they are going to fight now. Jack warns them to walk away but they don't. Jack afterwards beat the shiz out of their faces and the police came there. At the last moment, Jack knows that he was framed. Helen comes to take him out as she needs him on the case. Helen tells him that as he was working with her, he needs to be careful as it depends on the attorney's image. She is told that he was set up. He knows that someone has been following him, but it's not the police. She tells him about the targets she investigated. Everyone was going to have a happy ending at their houses, but all of them got killed. In the next scene we see Helen. Helen says that James should be hanged as she heard the statement of the parents and relatives of the victims. He corrects the story that Darren and Nancy were having a private affair. When Darren got killed, everyone was running, but Nancy was only walking in shock. Jack believes that these 5 killings could not be random. Jack tells Helen that he needs to have access to every single place where James went and whoever he met. She leaves. In the next scene we see the sniper and the person who followed Jack meeting in a dark alley. They exchange something and the person who followed Jack explained everything to the sniper. A person from the back comes forwards and tells the follower of Jack to cut his finger as it was a test of determination. He made a mistake during the following process. He will not be given a knife or a gun, but he has to do it with his mouth. As he cannot do so, he gets killed by the sniper. Helen and Jack are traveling together while discussing the case. They are going to the auto part where the girl works. The same girl that framed her. He goes to the auto parts where he meets Sandy once again. The receptionist doesn't let him access to her, so he goes in without any permission. She tells him about Jeb Oliver and tells him that he is a big dude. He takes Jeb's address and his car from Sandy. Jack takes his car, but a white car is still following him. He talks to an old woman sitting outside. She doesn't reply and acts like she has been doing drugs. As soon as Jack goes inside the house, she starts to call. Jack tries to find some clues but he cannot. Two people come from behind and hit him in the head. They try their best to hit him afterwards, but they cannot because they're too dumb. Jack handles both of them and another guy points a gun at him. He takes the car keys from the guy and leaves. Jack seems happy, but he is still being followed. In the next scene we see him with Helen. Jack tells Helen that Jeb is probably murdered. He afterwards explains that it is a possibility that someone else has killed all of these people and framed James because of his previous notorious record. Jack knows that James could have killed 5 of them from the bridge as the sun was behind him and he had a better opportunity. No parking meter, no camera, no evidence and not even a trance. He tells Helen that Barr wanted to get caught. He further tells that he was attacked too because someone wants him out of the case. James Barr is innocent according to Jack. He hands over the plate number of the car that has been following him. She runs for the plate number and the sniper knows that too. They now know that it wasn't a 5-people murder, but someone killed 4 random people to hide the real suspect of the murder. The real target had the largest construction business and someone may have wanted it. She wouldn't let it go and that's why they killed her, and to cover that up, they killed 4 random people. They now need to find a person close enough to James, the one he could tell about his previous military record, and they will have the killer. Helen is not cooperating anymore as she mentions that she is only a lawyer and her job is not to catch killers. Jack leaves her saying goodbye. Sandy gets ready for the club once again. She meets the sniper who poses as Jeb's friend. His sideman hits Sandy and she faints. They afterwards kill her. In the next scene we see Helen call Jack out and hands him an address of a shooting range which meets his requirements. Emerson finds out about the murder and a guy who could kill her in one punch. Jack goes to Sandy's house but sees police there and stops. He sees Sandy's dead body and is also shocked because of Emerson spots him and he runs away. The police cars and the sniper chase him down. He believes that either Emerson or Helen's dad is leaking information. He runs away from the police cars. In his runaway he almost crashes and gets caught too, but luck is by his side. Jack leaves the car and goes to use the public transport. He gets helped by some people too. Helen's father and Emerson comes to he and they tell him that he is the lead suspect for the murder of Sandy as he was seen near her place of work and he was driving Jeb's car. She doesn't listen to both of them and picks up the call. It's Jack. He called to tell her that he stole her car and to check who's deceiving. It could be her father and Emerson. It has to be either one because they were the only people that knew Jack Reacre was back in town except Helen. Jack drives to the shooting range where he meets the owner and asks him for the information but he refuses. He then afterwards puts him into a test where he has to put 3 bullets in the target and he will be given the information he wants. Jack agrees as he has no other choice. Jack fires the first bullet, the next 3 bullets go right into the target and this reminds the owner of the championship 10 years ago. Jack tells him that James was not a good shooter in the army and there is a good possibility that someone else might be helping him shooting shots. They open up a camera recording to find whether Barr came with a friend or he always came alone. He spotted the friend he brought with him. Jack informs Helen of the updated information. She is in a meeting with her father and that is the reason she didn't talk to Jack clearly. She suspects her father is providing the information to someone else. Gets upset and leaves. As she is in the elevator, Emerson comes there too. He paralyzes her with a taser gun and they take her away. At the club, Jack calls Helen and the sniper picks up. He tells him to be at the place in 1 hour and if he's not, he'll kill Helen. Jack threatens him not to touch her and he will have a hand-to-hand combat with him directly. Jack reaches the address, but he hasn't come here alone. He brought a friend of James. The shopkeeper will shoot them. Helen is inside the quarter where they have put her. Emerson is also there. He calls Helen once more and tells her that he is coming for her. He comes with her car. The shopkeeper and Jack make a good team and kill most of them. Jack has a hand-to-hand combat with the sniper and manages to kill him too. He reaches the main apartment where Helen is being kept a hostage. Emerson is behind her, but due to Jack's army skills, he kills Emerson too. It's now Zek left who convinces Jack not to kill him as he would not go to jail. Jack still kills him as he promised to bring justice to the killer of innocent families. Helen and Jack come out and Jack is leaving once again. Helen tries to stop him but he doesn't stop. Helen interviews James Barr and it turns out that Jack was right. As James mentioned that he would have taken the shots from the bridge. At last we can see a couple fighting and it's annoying. Jack stands up to shut them up. Kindly subscribe to the channel for more such videos and leave a like to help the channel out.